Monday morning, greetings. I am standing and a little more mobile today. I got a little late start on things. I talked last week about that flip video class I was working on. And so I was working on a video. I'm getting a little late start for my live thing today. Kids are already in the room. So I'm in one of my other rooms. It's the other computer lab that we have. And anyway, so I'm in here today. You can see it a little bit. But what I want to talk about today is teaching writing. Now, when I started teaching, I was a pretty decent writer. So I felt good enough about composing something. I'd had some experience with it in high school. I'd done a lot of writing in college. But what I quickly found out when I started teaching was teaching writing is a lot different than actually being able to do it. And so I realized pretty early on I needed some help with that, and so I took a workshop one summer from Rob Melton at the University of Iowa, and he helped me immensely with this lesson I still use today on teaching transition. So shout out to Rob today. Great stuff. But I thought I was doing okay until I had a parent-teacher conference one fall. And it was probably like my third year here in St. Louis. And I thought things were going pretty well. And so I had this parent come down, and she sat down and started talking to me. And she goes, you know, my son really loved journalism. He wanted to go to Mizzou. He wanted to be a sports writer. Sports journalism was his dream. And then he had you for journalism class, and now he doesn't want to do that anymore. And I was like, so like, you know, that's like probably as a teacher, what I probably dread the most is like some horrible parent-teacher conference. And so I was sitting there in the middle of it. And so I was like, oh, gee, okay. So I feel like I'm pretty good with criticism, where if there is something, I take a step back and I'm like, all right, is it something I did? Is there something I need to be doing better? And I realized then and there I did. I took a look at like what I was doing with my writing, and you know, listening to her, I realized I was like overmarking all my stuff. Like I thought the best way to be a good writing teacher was to just like bloody papers up. And I didn't use red pen, it was blue. So it was blue blood, maybe some black sometimes, but I thought, oh, if it's not red, it won't be bad, right? That's wrong. And you know, I'd be drawing arrows to paragraphs here, and I'd be like cutting whole lines up and rephrasing them things. And a lot of times what I realized was it wasn't better than what the kid was doing, really. It was just different. It was my take on it, and it wasn't really better. And so what I went and totally revamped everything I did. So the first thing I did was I started to not mark up things like crazy anymore. I really, for each story that I work on with kids, especially in the intro class, I try to focus just on 3 things that I want them to get out of that paper. So maybe it is, I just want them to make sure they use spell check, and I want them to make sure they punctuate quotes correctly in their first journalism story, and I want them to make sure that they are, you know, keeping things in third person. And so I really focus on those things in the first story, and then a second story I build on that to some different things. We work on transitions, big on the third one, but I really don't hit transitions on that first one, and I work things that way. The other thing that I did and that I do now is I make sure that whenever I'm marking on a paper, I always like mentally mark something good. Sometimes I get like in the paper grading zone, and I'm going through things and I'm marking it up and I'm trying to help them out, but I'm like, I need to make sure I say something nice. And so I try to say at least 1 or 2 things nice on papers all the time. You know, we get a lot of papers. It takes a lot of time to get through things. So I could say a lot of nice things. I'm sure I could say like 17 or 18 on each paper that I'm getting, but I try to say just at least 2. But I make a big check mark above the nice thing I'm saying, so it's very visible for the kids. So like if they get their paper back and they see it, they see that big check mark right away. They know, oh, this is something good, and so they can hunt those things out of the mix. But I try not to overmark anymore. And one thing that really helped me, my resource for today, is this Coaching Writers book by Roy Peter Clark and Don Fry. And the big thing with it is it talks a lot in here, and I'll put a link to it down below in the Facebook and some other places. But it really talks about writing having 2 phases, and one of those being the coaching phase, which happens early in the process. And if you do a good job in the coaching phase, then the editing phase should not be as bad a little bit later on. So it's something I work with. There's my timer. It's something I work with my copy editors and staff on as well. I work with my copy teams to make sure they read this and understand that some work early on with the writers, helping them coach their stories, whether that's getting sources lined up and ready to go, or whether that is something as simple as talking to them once they got their interviews done, can help a lot. And we really shouldn't be seeing writing the first time when it's in finals and starting the editing process there. I mean, I think this is really, whether you're doing book reports, you're in English classroom or something like that, finding ways to look at that writing along the way, having students look at each other's writing along the way. I mean, one of the ways I got to be a better writing teacher is by just editing a lot and teaching it more, obviously, but like working with other people on their writing helped me in my writing as well. And I think it's the same for students. The more they can help their peers with writing, the better they get at writing as well. So anyway, writing tip takeaways for today. Try not to overmark. I don't know that it helps the kids, and maybe they don't look at it and you're wasting a lot of your time. Make sure to say some positive things on there. Work to build with each assignment that you have. Try to include students in the editing process, because really, like from a teacher standpoint, if you can get students to help each other and they do a good job in the editing process along the way, it just makes the papers look a lot better by the time you get to see them and you're not dealing with crazy stuff. The crazy stuff's already been taken care of and you're getting nicer, polished pieces to work on, which should take less time to work through, and you can give a lot better feedback than circling all the lowercase i's in the paper and telling them to capitalize them. Lowercase i's make me crazy. Anyway, Coaching Writer's Book, check it out too. That's what I got this week. A few writing, teaching tips. I hope you all have a great week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Busy week here. We will see what goes on, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.